What the deep state mainstream media don't want you to understand is that they want you not to have any guns, and they're going to exploit anything that they possibly can to get you to give up your guns, or to not object when your guns are taken away, or to get you to beg that guns are just eliminated in terms of lethality, because after all, that's what a gun does. Now, why would they want to do that? What are they not telling you? What's the reason before that? And it's as old as you can imagine. Governments, the deep state government, the intel state, deep state, police state, whatever you want to call it, they don't want you to be able to fight back. They don't want you to have guns. They want you unarmed. They want you to have no guns. They want guns confiscated. That might be a tall order. So while they lead towards that, they, as Eric Holder said, they want to indoctrinate people and kids through their bought and sold corporate mainstream sock puppet, Ted Baxter, echo chamber, cookie cutter, playbook media. They want you to constantly be hearing the refrain that it's the NRA and Trump and Republicans, that guns are not necessary, guns are too powerful, that we can make some simple little changes, bump stocks and assault weapons bans and things like that. Remember, they want to remove the ability of you to fight back, to pose a formidable or formidable, depending upon where you're from, foe or force against any iteration of deep state. And they will tell you that has nothing to do with it. It's just that we don't want to remove the Second Amendment. Yes, they do. We don't want you to remain impotent in terms of your ability to defend yourself. Yes, they do. They don't want you to have any guns at all. Nothing. They want you completely and totally powerless. They don't want you to even be able to fight against criminals and street thugs. They want you completely dependent upon the government, who is not able to protect you. There was something one time, years ago, there was an anecdote that I'll never forget. It was during one of the Soros-backed revolutions. I think it was when Mubarak, might have been the one through, was it Arab Spring, one of the color, right, there's so many of them. But it was one involving Mubarak in Egypt. And Mubarak gave the order, I want you to go from door to door, house to house, and I want you to flush people out or whatever it was. And somebody said, you don't understand something. These people have AK-47s. We are not going to do that. They're armed. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to subjugate those people we're ostensibly going to protect in terms of a junta or a coup or whatever it is. If you have any doubt as to the intentions of the deep state in terms of trying to subvert and overturn and to upend this administration, you're not paying attention. You haven't been listening to one thing anybody's been saying about Q, or what Q's been saying, or the boys, or 8chaners, or whatever it is. You've not been watching and seeing how serious these folks are. Now, another thing people you're not going to be told, as I've referred to constantly, is the fact that there are roles that our environment is playing in terms of fostering and engendering and encouraging this insane behavior, this absolutely insane behavior, up to and including vaccinations of kids at levels we couldn't even understand or grasp years ago. That's number one. Number two, the amount of medications and SSRIs. Notice how there are very few publications, very few media platforms, very few television shows and news organizations that are even discussing either A, the role of these medications in fostering, encouraging, exciting, exacerbating, inciting violent behavior. That's number one. They don't do it. They don't do it. There's just no mention. It's about how crazy, how easy it is for these guns to be purchased. And if you could somehow pass legislation to stop these guns from being manufactured or sold or possessed, this would never happen again. That's the focus. You know that. Nobody wants you to hear that. YouTube doesn't want you to hear it. Google doesn't want you to hear it. Facebook, none of these people, because these are deep state proxies, deep state agitprops, deep state apparatchiks, deep state agents and proxies who are basically repeating and not reporting, repeating the same theme that they want you to know. And they want you to understand this, and they want you to get this, that it is about guns and insanity. And they repeat this refrain, something's got to stop. The New York Post today said, we've got to do something. It's about guns. It's about how you, mental ill background checks, gun, the usual things, bump stock, background checks, gun shows, assault weapons themselves, the velocity, the number of rounds per magazine, the usual substance. That's it. It's about the gun, not the person. Next, you're going to hear something, and this is really going to freak you out, but you're going to be hearing how not only are how this incredibly mind-altering pharmacopoeia that we are ingesting, and kids in particular are being hit with, but you're going to be hearing about actual brain changes through 5G technology, through radiation, through waves and forms of energy that can affect behavior. I was listening to a wonderful story. It was actually a live YouTube broadcast. And by the way, YouTube is still the number one news platform in the world. It's nobody can compete with it. But somebody was suggesting how there was an electrician who went to a school, bear with me, and he had to do something involving microwave radiation or leakage or something which affected some electronics that he was installing in a school. And when he did something to either prevent or to limit the type of radiation leakage or exposure or something, and please, my terminology is just horrible. Teachers, especially special ed teachers and the like, noticed a marked difference in behaviors of those individuals who had been previously marked with a host of behavioral disorders and the like. Isn't that interesting? With 5G technology, with wetware, with nanobot technology, you're going to see, and you're going to hear this, and it's going to blow your mind, how there is a massive focus on collectively changing and directing and re-imaging and repackaging and re-vectoring our collective psyche. But let me also leave you with this one. Here's what people don't want you to know. How violent are we? This is the most important news out of anything I could possibly give you. How violent are we in the world in terms of gun violence? What countries? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We are 11th, according to one particular Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. This was, and I will cite this, but we have 3.85, this is in 2016, 3.85 violent gun deaths per 100,000. 3.85 violent gun deaths per 100,000. And compared to some countries like Japan, and oh my God, it's unbelievable. But who's above us? Okay, we're 11th. 3.85. At number 10, Trinidad and Tobago, 13.03. I'll just round it off. 13. We're at 3.85. Let's make it 4. We're at 4. Trinidad and Tobago, 13. Bahamas, 14. Jamaica, 16. 16 violent gun deaths per 100,000. U.S. Virgin Islands, 18, almost 19. Brazil, 19. Honduras, 20.5. Colombia, 25.9. Guatemala, 26.8. Venezuela, 34.7, almost 35. And the granddaddy of them all, at 40 gun deaths per 100,000 compared to our 3.85, El Salvador. Now, let's think about this. Another thing that they won't tell you. Let's look at this in terms of being an epidemiologist. Let's look at it in terms of being a behavioral psychologist or a sociologist, or let's look at it. And let's say, well, what does that mean? Does it mean they're more violent? Well, maybe. What does it mean? Well, what kind of violence is it? What is there? What do they have kids going? There's obviously guns. I mean, there's obviously guns in El Salvador to hit those numbers. They must be there. Somebody's shooting with something. Do they go into schools and shoot up people? No. Do they go into malls? No. Is it domestic violence? Some guy getting nuts? Nope. Some kid going off his meds and shooting up a park or a mall or a party or a nope. What is it? Drug trafficking and crime. Violent crime, turf battles, police shootouts. Actual, and this is a very strange concept, but actual crime where you've got bad guys, Capone era, you know what I mean? The Thompson submachine gun days, John Dillinger days. You know, these are the people. This is the type of crime that we're talking about. Turf battles, guns, drugs. What do? We have a lunatic who reports on Facebook, I don't know how many times, I'm going to kill people. Why? Because I'm crazy. I'm crazy. I'm a lunatic. Here's a picture of me with a gun. Here I am with a gun. Here I am with a gun. Now, Facebook has denied me more. This is the most stories I can't post because this it violates some kind of community standard. It's not news. I have been shut down, blocked for a day. How is it that with all of the algorithms and all of the equipment and all of the technology, that if a person who, by virtue of, they know who you are, they know his age, who he is putting up gun picture after gun picture, and through facial recognition notices it's his face. His face holding guns. What, they don't have gun recognition? They got face recognition, but not guns. Facebook doesn't know a gun photo. Doesn't know what a gun looks like, but knows who we are, right? So this guy's putting all this stuff up over and over and over again. No problem. Police don't do anything. FBI doesn't do anything. Nobody does anything. No, because they're too busy going after Donald Trump. They're too busy with dossiers about Russian fantasy women taking a leak on a bed on the percales of some Russian, whatever it is. No, they're worried about that. That they're big on. That they are all over the place. They're too worried about marching with pussy hats and foam rubber pudenda. No, they're too busy with that one. You know, all of the prototypical, pathetic, usual suspect lefties. Oh, no, they don't care about that one. There's no families, nobody saying, hey, we you know, it takes a village, right, Hillary? It takes a village. Well, this village, we got a lunatic over here who says he's going to kill people. And who says he's going to shoot people up. Nobody does anything. Nobody says anything. No mental health, nothing. Why do you think nobody's interested in mental health? Why? Because they want this. Because the more crazy people, the more violence. The more violence, the more need for police. The Hegelian dialectic, the more you will scream for more control, more law enforcement. You will demand that. You will say, we have to have this. You don't understand this. It It makes so much sense, it's not even funny. I mean, it's so obvious. It really, really is obvious. I mean, I don't know how even to say it anymore. It's you. I know you can see this. And to the untrained person, what I'm saying is just shocking. You say, what? And I'm not talking to them, obviously, because they're so late to the game, it's not even funny. But you see, that doesn't help. You see, there are people who want there to be insanity. In fact, they'll never say this. They'll never say this. They will never, ever, ever say this. But let's look at how people benefit, how some people benefit every time there's a school shooting. Number one, news teams, news, network news, numbers go through the roof because it's very easy. Crying kids, helicopter shots, running, Sandy Hook all over again. Crisis counselors have the meeting, go there. What do you think? MOS, Vox Pop, Man on the Street. Keep that Emmy reel going. Let's keep that Emmy reel going. We're going to get that Emmy reel. Yeah. We're going to go. Keep it up. Keep it going. Yep. Right. Got it. Then you have more calls for this, more blasting the NRA, more anti-Trump, because Trump's somehow involved in the NRA. Gun individuals, gun folks, gun enthusiasts, rational, law-abiding, tax-paying gun fiends will be lumped in with all of this. Nancy Pelosi they'll dust her off and shoot her up with drugs and bring her out. Maxine the Wig Waters and Frederica the Hat and Schumer and the usual suspects, they come out. It's a great distraction from the real story, which is basically the coup that is going on here. But what is being missed is that there is a craziness in this country. There is a mental illness. We kill. The gun deaths are not police shootouts. Never. When was the last time you heard about that? Remember that West Hollywood, or whatever, that Hollywood shootout? Remember that? The inspiration for Heat or whatever it was? When was the last time you ever heard any kind of gun and stuff? Sometimes a bad guy will be shot, but no, it's this. So we're killing each other. Crazy people who get a gun. And you can always say, well, of course, and I know if you really don't know anything about critical thinking, you can always go towards the instrumentality. You can say, for example, why do cars have to go this fast? Why do guns have to have this many rounds? Why do we have to have so many channels? Why are there so many smartphones? Why are there so many? You could just go into you can go to the instrumentality, but they'll never. And this is the part that amazes me. They will never make a connection between, well, wait a minute. Why is there so many crazy kids today? Could it be vaccines? Could it be, even asking the question, oh, no. In fact, they will turn their back on any evidence you even suggest as to causal connections between vaccines and autism, as an example. Absolutely specious. They will claim this is specious, this is ridiculous, this is a waste of time. You are insane if you dare make a connection between these two. And at the same time, they will embrace any connection between gun capacity and school shootings. Not gun capacity and the lethality of shootings. Because one could argue, well, if you've got better bullets today and more powerful, then resulting damage is greater or whatever. That's kind of logical. Doesn't that make sense to you? That does to me. But they don't care about any other kind of connection. Oh, no, that's ridiculous. Don't say anything. Don't give us with this voodoo science, these causal connections between this and that. They will never talk about why our kids are weirder. Why have you had the chance to spend any appreciable time? Talk to teachers. Do you see what's going on here? Have you just done the most unscientific of studies and just looked around? Listen to kids. Listen to the garbled, mush-mouthed, marble-mouthed, strange, disaffected, flat-affected kids walking around, looking at their phones, being blasted with their Adderall and ADHD medication, and their SSRIs are going to school. Just completely out of it. You're also going to be seeing people, this is also interesting, people who will take the time to review the actual proof of the crimes. They will say, this is inconsistent. What you said happened actually didn't. And they will say, you're a conspiracy theorist and you're some kind of a denier and you believe in crisis actors and you're just demented. It doesn't happen that way. You're some conspiracy theorist. I'm promising you now, and I've not spent it, you're going to find, with this story, you're going to find people who say, I think there were other shooters, suppressed. Or something that would completely confound either the story, the narrative, or this is probably most often the case, or would make the already pathetic coverage from the mainstream media seem even more pathetic because they're into the pictures. They're into if there is a fire, you and I would be interested in how did this start? How many times have there been fires in this building? We're into the technology, the background. Did anybody ever call about this? Were there fire alarms? Today's mainstream media news, who are just dying. I can't, you've got to understand this. They are shuttering newsrooms. They're dying. The advertising dollar is leaving. So when something like this comes around and you can pull out all the toys, the OJ slow speed tape, you have to have the helicopter or a drone. Not so many drones today because I think the helicopter lobby still has more oomph, but you have to fly over this. You also have to have the reporter standing there pointing. They're standing in front of a school. There's only one school behind them, but they have to point to it because it's part of they just are trained to do this. And they're just so happy to be, I'm here. I may not be saying that much, but I'm here. See, there it is. And they always point. Then they will shove the cameras into the faces of these poor kids who are traumatized beyond belief. They're also using terms active shooter. That's become a part, isn't that something that's become a part of our way of thinking? And here's the bottom line, and I'm going to do a special one on this. They will fight. This is the best one. They will fight to have anybody there who says, I'm going to have either, not so much military, because we need law enforcement, because military, but we're going to have a presence, a security presence of this person who doesn't interact with the children, who is known to be heavily armed. So when this kid took an Uber, do you know that? When this kid takes an Uber, and by the way, why are we promoting him? Why are we saying his name? Why are we letting everybody know all about him? Inspiring. But when he took this Uber to the site, if he gets out and he says, what is that? Imagine there's this kind of a Hummer-looking device with a very scary guy wearing BDUs or camis or whatever the hell it is, and a very serious weapon just sitting there. Look me in the eye. You mean to tell me that's not going to dissuade somebody who says, this is a wrong school? I'm not too crazy about this. They're not all, the Columbine trench coaters who want to die. Many of them are cowards. And when you bring this up, they say, oh, no, we don't want a police state. Really? You want to risk this again. You won't do everything. There are guards at malls, banks, parties, sporting events, everywhere I go, subways. Nobody minds that. And you mean to tell me that parents are going to say, no, I would feel, and I'm not talking about arming teachers because that's a kind of a strange thing, but the idea of having someone there this is important, someone there who is a very obviously well-armed, seriously armed individual. Nobody would. Why? Because the narrative would destroy. You would see a drop. You could eliminate school shootings. And if you eliminate school shootings, who's going to be clamoring for more gun control? Am I suggesting that people actually want this? Yes, absolutely. You're not going to be able to change laws and change this gun culture if nobody ever gets shot with a gun. And they will show this sensitivity all of a sudden. So let me just let you think about that one. Please like this video. Please put your thoughts, comments, observations, witticisms, and observations below. Also, if you could and you would, brighten my northern sky, as Nick Drake says. But also, please subscribe to the channel and also hit that little bell so you'll be notified of live streams and new videos, and comment as you see fit.